What's something you know but you really shouldn't? My dad has only one working nut. My mom and sister got into a big fight while drunk and my mom told my sister that she came from her dad's bad nut. Your mother is a comedic genius. Mom's been saving that line to use on her kids one day ever since the bad nut went bad. In the early 2000s, my mother was incredibly sick. For the first handful of years of my life she was mostly bedridden, although she eventually got better in the mid-2000s. One day when I was like 8 though, I was rummaging through her closet and happened upon an older notebook, a diary of sorts. I cracked it open to find page after page describing the pain she was in due to her illness and how she really just wanted to die because it was so bad. She wrote about how much she loved her kids and how she thought it might be better to pass away to have our dad remarry so we would have a better mother. It was almost like a suicide note at parts. In the end, I put the book down and tried to forget about it but never did. She is still around to this day though, and for that I'm eternally grateful. Let her know that there couldn't be a better mother. My grandfather got drunk and told me his wife, not my biological grandmother, is a freak and likes it in every hole. Hess in his 90s, she's in her 70s. Thanks Grandpa. Congrats on the happiness. He'll be over here now. Edit, thanks for all the comments and likes. A bit more about Grandpa, is now in his late 90s and looking to make the big 100. Hess a wonderful man and has such an amazing backstory, World War II vet. Hess still got his wits and is even still playing tennis. As for that other aspect of his life, I'm good on keeping my knowledge to that conversation lol. My old boss told me about her ex-husband's death. Him and his best friend died in a house fire. His kids were told that he died in his sleep due to the smoke. She told me that's not what happened. They found his body inside the closet of his room. In his last moments he had been trying to claw the drywall to get out. The me said he didn't have enough smoke in his lungs to have died from it. They believed based on the state of his body inside the closet that the fire got so hot around in the other rooms he cooked alive. They said that his lungs were filled with fluid consistent with the air being so hot they were burning inside and he drowned. To this day his kids have no idea he died an agonizing death. Edit, thanks for the awards. One common question coming up is why was he in his closet? The night of the fire he had been drinking and smoking weed. It believed he woke up to a dark room disoriented and panicked. It's common for people in fires to lose track of the layout of their room, so it believed he ended up in his closet thinking it was a way out. I'll be checking the batteries and the smoke detectors tomorrow, thanks very much. How about checking them today? Write a note to make sure you remember. Hey! Who's leaving all these random post-its everywhere? My dad wanted my mom to swing with him but she didn't want to. He took her to a swinging party anyway. She walked out. He stayed and swung I guess? Mom told me. I shouldn't know it. Are they actually still together? Hess still at the party. He writes letters to his wife like a World War I soldier. Dear Harriet, it's been 143 days now. The noise never stops, regardless of the time of day. We hear the moans and grunts from the others around me. I try to get sleep in when I can, but often I am called to action when I least expect it. We lost 4 men yesterday but morale is still high for now. I hope to be finished soon, but no one can tell how long this will last. Pray for me, and hopefully I will see you soon. Yours truly Gerald. I'd give all the things, why the Gerald made me lol. Overheard my mom drunkenly ranting to one of her friends about how my middle kid wasn't planned and was kind of a mistake. Hess so much like his ducking father, I can't stand him. I was probably like 7 or 8 at the time and still wish I hadn't heard. So yeah Therese that lol. I'm so sorry, friend. I overheard my stepmother, whom I idolized, saying some very awful things about me to her family when I was supposed to be asleep. She threw me out later that same year. That my uncle didn't die in an accident. He blew his brains out. My mom is a bit of a sitcom-esque idiot who thinks if the door is closed we can't hear her talking in a normal voice on the other side 5 feet away. Heard her on the phone talking to other relatives about what happened. I just overheard a master access code at my work by accidentally eavesdropping. There are a lot of places I am not authorized to go that I could theoretically get into now. When my wife gave birth, the room seemed unusually warm. Warm enough to where I thought I may vomit or faint, but maybe I was having nerves from pending fatherhood. After, the doctor handling the delivery cussed out the attending nurses beside the nursery, because the room temperature was at 89 when it should have been around the mid-60s. I walked out from the nursery after hearing most of what was being said on the sentence. If the mother or a baby ends up with an infection or worse, they are going to own this ducking hospital because of your fuck up. I ended up looking at them and said, that's good to know. Since my wife and kids are fine, I won't know the pleasure of owning a hospital, but I don't have to know the pain of medical malpractice. That my mom is in a sex-filled online relationship with a young Pakistani fellow. She's 82. Edit, thanks to all those warning me about scams. She has very little money anyway, and this has been going on for over 10 years now. It seems to be a rare case of legitimate online love, or sexting, but still something you wish you never knew. Or inadvertently stumbled upon. She's gonna send the dude a bunch of money. Same happened to my mom. Gave her her first smartphone and gave her a Facebook account, and so many scammers went after her. She gave away like $10,000 before we caught her. My son's BFS mom gave away $300,000 in cash to an online friend. Turned out she had early onset Alzheimer's. She was a very successful day trader once upon a time, so sad, and now her son has to arrange $247,000, Hess barely 30. My grandmother's friend gave over $200,000 away. They had an intervention, then she gave another $50,000 away to someone else. I told my fiancé that I should catfish her, then give her 80% back and consider the remaining 20% tuition to internet safety school. When my great-grandfather came back from fighting in the Somme in the First World War, he could never eat beetroot again. He said it smelt exactly like the rotting bodies in no man's land. My great-grandfather had a similar story. Anyone who cooked for him when he got back had to wear a hairnet, to avoid hairs accidentally falling in the food. If he found one, he'd have a PTSD episode, because it reminded him of having to eat rats and dogs in the trenches. That's so sad. Frown. Yeah. Frown. He also couldn't be around people's pets for the same reason. World War I was hell in the trenches. They shall not grow old. Put way too much of a nostalgic sheen on that war. Yeah, Teresa. Reason they call survivors the lost generation. That my old boss was banging the office secretary. They were both married to other people. I think she knew I knew. I wish they stopped giving me clues. They want you to join them. Three's Company. Come on, knock on their door. My boyfriend's parents are swingers. I had the unfortunate experience of learning that my parents are. Don't ever fix your parents' computer. That my summer job never pressed charges against my friend who stole $12,000 from them over the time of a year because not every closing manager did their audits. Ooh, I had a workplace that had similar, much-loved manager stole about $35,000 over the course of more than a year, but the owner didn't want to call the police, so it got covered up. She got fired, but as far as I know faced no legal consequences. I think there was an arrangement to try to repay, but that was that. I guessed my son's Reddit account name. Regrets. So many regrets. Everyone that reads this probably just had their buttholes clench. I let my brother use my laptop and he saw my username before I closed the tab. I really hope he never remembered it. That my mom regrets leaving my happily remarried dad. Especially weird because the fallout from the breakup was traumatic. Edit for clarity, since this post blew up, my parents were together for more than 15 years and generally loved each other very much. I quite fortunately, I might add, grew up in a very loving two-parent household. When my mom decided to leave, my dad was super depressed and it took him at least 4 years to recover. The breakup was mainly caused by two things. A, my mom had her midlife crisis where she was 50 going on 24 and wanted to go out all the time, and B, my dad is a boring old soul, who also started to get religious. Something neither of my parents had previously been. People grow apart, but in my experience it's often fixable. The problem is it's never fixable without effort on the part of both parties.